Now 3:55, I'd like to call the Human Resources Committee meeting July 10th. Or
Commissioner Cross?
Here.
Commissioner Jagger?
Here.
Commissioner Engel?
Here.
Commissioner Longmire?
Present.
Commissioner Mahoney?
Here.
Commissioner Stolman?
Here.
Commissioner Snyder?
Here.
Commissioner Wilkins?
Here.
Commissioner Darazinski?
Here.
Commissioner Plummer?
Here. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes, June 5th, 2012, and approval of closed session minutes, June 5th, 2012. Second. Is there any discussion, changes, questions? Seeing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Now, it's come time for public comment on an agenda item. Does anybody like to make another public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on. Items for consideration. HR 12/07-38, authorized solicitation of proposals to complete. All right, second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there questions or discussion?
Yeah.
Yes.
What's
First one.
All right. What does the study entail? Like, what are we after?
The study, it'll be a two-pronged study. The DHS board met and talked about the use of the Brookhaven facility for other functions if space is available. To determine if that's feasible, the first phase would have to look at the Medicaid, Medicare implications of downsizing the facility and what that means economically to that facility. If that proves to be a positive for the facility, then the next phase would actually have someone, an architect study, come in and look at how that would be done with that facility.
But the study doesn't have anything to do with like privatizing part of it out or anything in that order.
It's more of and I'm speaking from attending the DHS board. Over the years, there have been opportunities that have come in sharing space at the Brookhaven facility, and nothing has ever really come of those opportunities. There was, and I'm just speaking from what I heard of this. I wasn't involved in these because this was before me, but there was a vet's opportunity at one time. There was a hospice care. And so it was the will of that DHS board to finally say, let's look at if there are opportunities, let's actually look at what it would actually mean, rather than just have these things come up and not look at them fully. So this isn't for any specific function, but it's to look at if we right-size the facility and had X amount of space available, would there be some other function that could go out there and could actually benefit the facility?
So we would probably, can we run with a lot less people, run that facility and still keep all the people we have, or would that be kind of what they're looking at too? Is because you're going to have to downsize half the buildings. It seems like you're going to have to downsize half the personnel.
Well, that's what they would look at. There's also the implication of if you downsize a facility that is funded by Medicaid and Medicare, what is the impact of losing Medicaid and Medicare, and what does that do to it? And so that's the other side of it too. But of course the staffing and the operational costs. And does bringing another function in help with the operational costs? Pick up some of the operational costs that are currently all being expended through the Brookhaven facilities. So this is just a feasibility study. It's not any commitment, but it's something they want to look at.
Bonnie, do you have any idea what a study for this would cost? What would be the ballpark figure for a study of this magnitude?
We do not, and the action here today is to allow us to solicit. However, we will do it through our solicitation. Bids will be through conversations with like firms that do studies like this. And we feel this is a situation that there isn't a lot of time to go through this, because we want answers, and there are some opportunities out there that we may actually have some potential at Brookhaven, but we want to know if it's feasible before we do that. So we don't have, I can't give you a number because I'm not sure, but we will come back with that.
Mr. Darazinski.
I hope one thing that will be considered in that study, seems more and more seniors are encouraged to stay home as long as they can with Medicaid and Medicare, is senior daycare. You create for yourself your own bullpen, so to speak, if we downsize that part and have this operation. And I don't know if that's...
Yeah, those were some of the things that were discussed.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item, HR 12/07-39, authorize public health to establish a fee of $25 per adult HIV vaccine.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Questions on the motion? Commissioner Jagger.
We're not gonna be competing with this private sector on this, are we? It wouldn't seem like.
I would refer to the Director of Public Works. I'm sorry, help. Thank you.
Ken Kraus, Public Health Director. What was the question again?
Like, are we gonna be competing with the private sector on this, or is this?
There would be other places that people would be able to go. I mean, what we're finding is people that are looking for it and they're not able to find it at other places. So we want to make it available for people who come in as opposed to, I mean, it's basically just pass through the amount of money that is charged.
Would they have visiting nurses or something go out to Blue Lake and stuff like that to get the flu shots? So that would be part of that too, or would
No,
that
no. This is Haemophilus influenza B, which is a different kind of a bacterial infection. We recently had a pretty serious case, actually up in your area around Holton. There was a child who contracted the illness, will probably has now got brain damage and will probably need care the rest of his life. That's sort of increased some of the interest amongst a group of people that are in that area, and there's not a place for them to get it right now. We've got it for children, but we don't have it for adults. And that's sort of the catalyst for why we're making this request.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item, HR 12/07-40, authorize public health to amend its fiscal year 2012 budget for $6,400,000.
So moved.
Motion's been made and seconded. Questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item, HR 12/07-41, authorize community mental health. Motion's been made and seconded. Questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item, HR 12/07-42, authorize reclassification. Keep going. Of the MH Finance Supervisor to MH Chief Finance Officer. Motion's been made and seconded. Questions on the motion, Commissioner Jagger.
Does this add any work to this person?
I would refer to the CMH.
It doesn't add work at this time. It has added, there's been a considerable amount of work added to its workload over the last 12 months or so. But really what this is reaction to is that we've begun to look at all of the jobs that we have within CMH and compared the classification with similar positions at other CMHs across the state and with our surrounding counties. And just trying to bring the position in closer line with what his colleagues are being paid around here.
Well, it's going from 73,000 top pay to 88,000. I mean, it seems like that top pay could be quite a raise.
To stand here right now, to tell you the truth, because you're looking at a pay scale, I don't know how much the impact is to him directly. We did show you what the,
Yeah.
I'm sure that's right. But what I looked at is comparing those, first of all, this happens to be an individual that's close to retirement, so I'm gonna have to be replacing him pretty soon. And I gotta be thinking about whether or not we are gonna be in a competitive market to be able to refill that position.
Well, then that brings me to the question I really had was, we're gonna raise someone up, and we can't afford the retirement plan now, so they're even gonna collect more just before they get ready to retire. You get based on the last couple of years you work, as far as I know. So wouldn't that?
Truthfully, that wasn't part of my consideration. I don't know that it would be. What I have to look at is running the business that we have right now and making sure that I can fill those positions and the people and retain people with the right credentials to do the work. And to be frank, we're still at the low end of the scale.
I think we have a lot of nurses out in Brookhaven that are on the low end of the scale too.
Well, I think we do countywide, there's no doubt. But, you know, it is what it is, and we just wanted to get closer to the pay range.
Well, why don't we do this when we hire the new person then? I guess that would make more sense to me.
Well, it doesn't to me.
I understand.
Any other questions on
Don't
the
really know
motion?
how to answer that.
Seeing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no.
No.
Motion carries. Next item for consideration, authorize the creation of a sports coordinator DD position.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Questions on the motion? Mr. Jagger.
How many people can be on this program at the most?
How many people can be receiving respite care? Is that the question?
It's got 135 in here.
Julie, you can hear me.
I'm sorry, Julia Rupp, Director of Community Mental Health. I don't know how many people totally can be on it. It's at request, and that's the number we're at right now. It's 135.
Well, I got about 5 or 6 questions here. But what percentage of people just say no to this program? You know, like, because obviously, I guess you're supposed to get written responses saying whether they're still eligible or not. Someone's doing it according to this thing. If you, the financial sends out staff.
I'm not sure what your question, let me explain how this works. What happens is that these individuals have to be, we have to determine their eligibility and whether or not they're getting the right level of need. And what had been done in the past is that there was no clinical person to do those assessments assigned to them. So a financial person can't do that. And they were just collecting the information. And what we feared was that people weren't getting the right level of service or the right amount of support. So we had to put somebody in place that could go out and meet with those families and do those assessments that was a non-financial person. So that's the purpose of this position.
Well, I guess then where I go is, if you only have 10%, I mean, are we looking at this in a fraudulent way, or we're trying to, but I guess that would.
We're trying to improve service. They used to get case management service, which essentially is what this position is. And a few years ago, I'm not sure when, before my time, they removed that service and made it just a financial function. And then that's not meeting their needs. So we're trying to improve care to these individuals.
Yeah, because I think if it's to try to kick them off, we're not gonna gain anything by hiring a $50,000 person to gain.
We're not trying to, we're trying to make sure that they get the level of care that they're supposed to get.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Commissioner Smolnick?
Just, this is mandated by the state.
It's a required service, yes, we receive funds for this purpose.
It's a required service, and the funding for this comes from your grant money,
It,
or does this come from the general fund?
Not the county general.
no, it does not come from the county general fund.
I mean, it's just part of your overall
Correct.
service to your clients.
Yes,
Okay, it's just to get better service to your clients.
correct.
So, okay, I'm happy.
Yeah. There's no cost to the county.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item, HR 12/07-44, authorize the reclassification of vacant position CMH Informational System Technician 3 to Informational System Technician 2.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Question on the motion. Seeing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item, HR 12/07-45, authorize the reclassification of the CMH Senior Psychologist position to Director of Program Evaluation and Best Practices.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Questions on the motion? Commissioner Jager.
Is this person close to retirement also?
Honestly, I don't think so, but I'm not really sure how old he is.
Again, this is one that, do they think that we're not up to snuff with all the other counties, or?
This person has been, this is a position that most CMHs have. There's certain duties that he has and he's been performing, but partly because there's been a vacancy in the director position, he hasn't been compensated for it or officially put into that position. So he's been doing this work for over a year without recognition that this is the job he's been doing. So this is a similar position that most CMHs have, and he's been performing similar duties to those other individuals. And I don't think he's close to retirement, but I don't really know.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item, HR 12/07-46, authorize the reclassification of 3 CMHs. Motion's been made and seconded. Questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, old business. Is there any old business? Any other old business?
Actually,
Commissioner Skolnick.
since the director of mental health is here, just curious, how was your, that building on Peck Street that was remodeled? Are you back in that now and it's all good, or?
We're back in that building, and truthfully, it's not all good. It's, again, this was a lot before my time, but I think we got in there and it was one of those building nightmares where, you know, it kept finding another problem after another problem. The floor that we're in is really quite nice, but I think there were some good reasons that we couldn't rehab the whole building, code reasons, and as a result, some things didn't get done. And now we are actually in a position of, the basement, for example, is pretty beat up, the stairs are beat up. So we're gonna have to try to find some funding to go back in to make some additional repairs. But the part that the clubhouse is using is absolutely gorgeous. It's really nice.
The reason I drove by there the other day and I see a trailer in the parking lot, and I don't know if it's still under construction or that's just old furniture in there that.
I think it's just old furniture. It's not under construction. It's, all the work's done.
Okay, thank you.
Any other old business? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business. Any new business? Commissioner Jager.
This mental health finance director that we disagreed to, kind of, not all the way yet, but to 88,000. With all the new IT stuff and everything else we've bought, why isn't these things chipped over here with just one director, like he's running it all. I mean, we're supposed to be doing shared services. It would just seem, this is the perfect opportunity for shared services.
There is complexities within the CMH operation that makes that position a needed position in the county, is what I would say. That this position does work closely with Heath and with our accounting, but there is the funding sources that go through the CMH operation, which make that a very complex operation in CMH. And that's why in many counties, CMHs are independent and become authorities. But CMH here is part of the county. And they have needs that we would not, that the current staff would not. And that's a long-standing position that is over there. They've had a finance director over there for a long time.
I guess I was just thinking if we are looking at only a couple of years for the retirer, I mean, anything we can do probably to consolidate, especially in the county itself, would be a good thing. Would be my thought.
Commissioner.
I would suggest to you that we had that discussion at the CMH board level and went into it in some detail and felt that it was really necessary. The suggestion was made, and the suggestion had been considered at the CMH level to consolidate. And for a variety of reasons, it simply is better to have their own operation, but they will do their best to try to integrate it where possible.
Other new business? Seeing none, public comment on a new topic. Would you like to make public comment on a new topic? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned. Fireworks, man?